All right, well, new day, new problems. Yeah, still don't have the manifolds off. I've got part of them off, at least unbolted from the heads, and I'm a little kind of pissed about that because everything was pretty much for finger tight. There was only one bolt that even had any kind of tension on it, and those are like, coarse threads, so that is pretty upsetting as well. And then I was raising the car back up, just so I could get underneath and try to disconnect the manifold from the exhaust or the mid pipe. And I had spotted some oil marks on the, I have these drip trays with the chucks pads down. Spotted a couple little oil marks. Thought that was kind of unusual because I had drained all the oil, but there was a quite a big skid mark on them, and it was heavy too, so it was like still wet. So anyway, got the car raised up, started to drop the pan, and it was like a big saggy diaper, and I was like, what? So I started to pull this pan down, and it just it kept going and going. So I had to push it back up real quick, kind of get it back into place, and go grab my Nash bucket and bring it here. And yeah, lo and behold, I am leaking antifreeze. Like, that is coolant. So I had checked the motor before. I mean, freeze plugs and everything were still intact, and wasn't leaking anything before. So I mean, pulling the intake and messing around with the heads and stuff, I mean, should not have done this, because like I said, this was already like this ahead of time. So yeah, a little bit confused on that one. So anyway, I'm gonna let this drip for a bit, and then I'm gonna try to get under there and get those manifolds disconnected. And I'm not sure with them, with the motor in the car, if I'm going to be able to back those out far enough, past the studs and get those out of the way. But I mean, I got to be able to do something, because I got to get to those bottom bolts on the head. So I had the top ones off. Those were all, cranked to basically to spec. And once I can get those done, get the alternator pulled, at least the top bolt that's plugged or screwed into the head too. So all right, well, anyway, I wish I had more to report, but we'll kind of take it from there. So once this is done bleeding out, get that tray moved out of the way, get these swapped out, and see what I can do, because I know where this side is. I mean, I can see the bolts right here where the Z bracket is. Very familiar with that, because I had to buy a new one, and I could see the bolts right there, right there for the exhaust. So I'm gonna disconnect this side. It doesn't have the valve on it. See if I can move that around. If not, I can mess around with that mid pipe and just disconnect it from muffler resonator, and kind of go from there. So all right. Once again, stay tuned. Well, I hate to spend so much time on this water thing, but I am completely perplexed, because when I parked this before, I mean, I had checked the freeze plugs, and they're fine, and all of this is, I mean, this is all dry. There's like no water marks anywhere. A couple little spots. I mean, this was when it overheated, on the exhaust pipe. A couple little drips. I've got this one here on the inspection plate, and then obviously, this one. I think I notated that before. Been dripping a little bit of oil, because again, like, all of these weren't tight. I mean, they're all just like finger tight. This one's leaking. I don't know, if it's something with the gasket behind it. This thing, the drain plug was like finger tight also, so it's dripping. I didn't bother cranking it down after I drained all the oil, but I still have no idea where that water came from. So I did unbolt the top part of the head, which if that's the case, I mean, those were all cranked down to spec. They were like 70, 80 foot-pounds. And I mean, if that's the case and a little bit of water went, then down there in that valley, when I pulled that valley pan, then that antifreeze is just what I put there, because I'm not really seeing anything else. But I mean, even if some of that leaked, I don't see where. So yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna get onto these manifolds now again, because I had to get the car up. So I mean, you could see right here, got those two, and then hopefully I'm gonna have enough room. Otherwise, like I said, I can pull that from the resonator side, at least get it out of the way, and then I hope I can get this thing. This one's same way. Like I said, here by the Z bracket, I can get at that too. Hopefully, even with the starter in the way. But man, yeah, that does not make any sense. All right, back to wrenching. All right, well, that wasn't too bad. Just a couple of castle nuts on both sides. Top seemed to stay in place. And yeah, this one, passenger side, yeah, definitely plenty enough room. Get in there. I put the gasket back on and put those nuts on there. And then on this side, yeah, a little more sketchy, because this torsion bar is like right in the way. I got it at least off, so it's off of the manifold. And I'll do the same thing. I'll put the gasket back on, put the bolts back on there, so I know where they're at. But yeah, not as much room over here. This is in the way, and then also the Z-bar. Z-bar's in the way too. So, all right, well, now we gotta get the car lowered back down and see if we can fight with those manifolds. I was also able to take all the plug hangers and stuff off since I was from underneath, so I'll be able to pull those up out of the way. And we're probably going to try the passenger side first, see if we can maneuver that around, man. Otherwise, I think if the starter was out of the way, I could probably get to the head bolts underneath, man, because I can see them and I got pretty good access to them. But yeah, I probably still wouldn't be able to pull that out with the manifolds on. So, all right, well, if I get that accomplished, I may drop this. I mean, once I see the top of the pistons, I may pull this pan, because yeah, curiosity. All right, see you in a few. Yay, success. So yeah, that worked out okay. I can't pull this all the way up and out, mainly because I think the spark plug's in the way. So I can either pull the plug, or I've got access to that bolt, I think pretty much out here, so I can get a torque wrench on it. And yeah, I just got these 8 to go on this side, and I can actually pull the head. So we're going to try that first, and I'm just going to leave this where it is. Then once the head's off, I can go that way with it, and no big deal. I have the other one loosened up and basically off as well. I think it's catching on part of one of these little cable ties, organizers. So that's what it feels like anyway. So I'm going to get this side first, and then I'll go back over there and mess with that side. So making progress. All right, kiddies. Yeah, I got the driver's side head off, and I don't know. Anybody out there, tell me what you think. I don't know. Doesn't look bad. And there's the cylinders now. Still have the gasket on there, but Yeah, and most of that, I mean, the block was not filled with antifreeze. That was, I never drained anything out from the head, so when I pulled the heads off, obviously, it just dumped all over the place. So it's all on the ground and in my drip tray. So I'm going to clean that up. Again, I don't care, but yeah, it looks good from here, all things considered. Pretty. I don't know if it should be that scorched with only like 30 minutes of runtime on it and less than like 10 miles down the road. But I'll check the cylinder walls and everything. I was pleasantly surprised that let's see. I don't know if I can. I don't think I can get at them, but yeah, I'll show you them later. But everything was extreme thread lock, and everything was definitely torqued down, at least on this side. So we'll check the next side and kind of go from there. Well, I was finally able to get the manifold off on this side. Yeah, it was getting held up by the little bat wing. So I had to take two of the spark plugs out, and then I could drop the manifold down enough to get to two of the head bolts. And then once I got that, then I was able to drop this down, and yeah, and then it just came right out. So I can't really see at this angle, but yeah, minute I undid I think the rear one on the rear, yeah, started pissing all over the floor. So I put some more chuck pads down just to try to catch it a little bit, so it wasn't, quite so bad. And then hopefully it'll be nice, the head will be nice and empty and won't drop a bunch of stuff down into the cylinder. So yeah, so there we go. I gotta get the car lowered back down now, and gonna go from there. I mean, that's all it's been, crawling around on my hands and knees under the car and lifting it and lowering it, lifting it and lowering it. So making progress though. All right, well, down she goes once again. Oh, how I long for the day of having a big garage that I don't need to go crawling around on my hands and knees. All right, well, let's get back over to that side and get that other head out. And yeah, I mean, once I cleaned up that fluid, these things are actually wiping up really nice, and the cylinder walls look great. And a point, with the other part of the video where they were full of antifreeze, I will say one thing. I let those sit for about 10 minutes and they never drained. So, I mean, those rings and those seals are nice and tight. A little too tight, I don't know. I don't see any, any scoring or anything. So I don't think, forged pistons overheating, swelling up, scraping the cylinder walls, because those still got a nice little hash on them, and they are nice and, nice and smooth. And that other one's, full top, these were what Icon, so they had the clearance for the valves. But yeah, pretty much spot on, and right there with the gasket too. So yeah, and again, on the head bolts over there, yeah, they all coated, Loctite, man, and yeah, pretty tough to break loose. So I don't think I had a problem, as far as the heads or the head gaskets. Plus this block was decked, so it was spot on too. But anyway, let's get this finished up, because I'm tired of leaning over this freaking car, man. All right, see you in a few. All right, so, well, I didn't get all the water. Looks kind of the same of what the other side did. That, however, man, that one looks scorched. This one too. I mean, that's pretty bad. Now, like I said, that's break-in oil. You know, everything else maybe after it ran with gas and some cleaner, you know, those things would clean up again. I don't know. So I'm gonna sop up all this green juice and yeah, get the rest of these bolts put back in. Just kind of keeping them where they belong. Not that I will be reusing them, even though they are the, you know, factory ones. Just like I said, just kind of keeping them in place so I don't lose them, and we'll go from there. So be back to probably close this up, because really I think I'm just going to put the stick the lifters back on there, put the valley pan back on, then throw some of the other stuff, throw the manifolds back in here so at least they're under the hood. I can get the hood closed down, get the car moved back up again, and I think that should be it. That's everything that I'm going to need for work on the other block. So all of this stuff, I'll pull all this later, and you know, with the way this looks, yeah, I'm going to get that oil, I'm going to get that cross member removed and drop the oil pan, take a look at the mains and the bearings and the rear main seal, even though it's not leaking, and then yeah, I'm going to pull the front of this all apart, get the radiator out, and yeah, pull all that, and I'm going to check that oil slinger, because that yeah, I mean, I can't find, I mean, this is metal, put a magnet on it, and you know, it's not bearing material, so I'm just trying to decipher like exactly what it is or what it was, and the fact that, you know, however it got up there is beyond me, because I mean, even with the oil slinger, I think that should have been pre oil pump, and so correct me if I'm wrong, but I think any of those pieces should have went down into the pan. So I'm curious to see what's in the pan too. I mean, there might be, you know, this might be 10% of something else that's in there. So I don't, again, don't know what it is, what it was, how it got there. Sabotage. Anyway, see you on the next one, probably. I think this one's going to wrap it up for tonight. Well, another quick little update, though, before I go for the evening. Yeah, I was just cleaning up, you know, all of everything here. I got all those bolts and stuff, you know, back in place. And I was just kind of checking out the cylinder walls. And, I mean, everything looks fine, other than, like, you know, these were scorched. But, yeah, I mean, I don't see anything up here on the top end. So, really curious to, you know, check out the bottom, see what's going on. I mean, I did see some gold sparkly up here, so, you know, I struck gold up here in the valley pan. So yeah, I imagine, you know, bearing went south. So, or north in this case, you know. So we'll see. Anyway, I'll keep you guys posted.